I hate when packaging breaks. That's like the most annoying thing in the world to me because the product is so good, but tell me why. Tell me why the lid just literally fell off. I hate that. Besties, I've been going through it lately. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. It feels like every day life is like, ooh, 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 ooh. And I'm just sitting here like, it kind of feels like that meme of the dog with the flames in the background that's just like, it's fine. Because that's truly like my approach to my life right now. But in an effort to make myself feel better, I am going to make myself pretty. Because I haven't put on makeup in a couple of days. And you know, there is something to be said about when you feel like shit and then you put on a full face of makeup and you remember how hot you are, you're like, oh, okay, life isn't so bad, you know? So, that is the intent of today's video. And this look is my like go-to pretty girl, give me confidence kind of makeup look. This is the one that I default to for like weddings, special occasions of any kind, or honestly, if I just want my makeup to absolutely slay, this is the vibe that I go for. And this is actually the look that I did for my best friend's wedding a couple of weeks ago. Me and all the bridesmaids, aka my besties, we all put mirrors up against the wall and we're sitting in a line, and as we were doing makeup they were like, okay, what's next, Sabrina? I'm like, add this to the crease. It was just so fun. It was like an in-person tutorial and it was so fun to just like do that with my girlies. So I figured I would share this makeup look with you guys too if you are about to go to a special occasion, or if you're down bad like me and you just want to feel gorgeous, pretty, stunning. So yeah, let's get into it. I will say the first step is always, always, always to moisturize and add SPF. If you're going outside in any capacity, you need SPF. So I mix the Vanacream Daily Moisturizer with the Trader Joe's Daily Facial Sunscreen. Don't sleep on her. This is a really good sunscreen. Doesn't have flashback, doesn't feel like sunscreen on the skin. I honestly forget that I'm wearing it, but I'm protected with SPF 40. So I literally mix them both in my hand and then apply to the face. If you want your makeup to last, use a primer, baby. This is the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer with niacinamide. Truly an excellent dupe for the Hydro Grip by Milk. And I want to glow, so the e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter, again, another excellent dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury. I can't get enough of this stuff, and I truly can't tell a difference between this and the Charlotte one, if I'm being honest. Like the glow this gives my face. Gorgina. Gonna do a little bit of color correcting under my eyes and on the spots on my face. So any redness, I'm using a green color corrector. You don't need that much. Just little tiny dots. And this is the Sephora Bright Future Corrector in green. And then the Charlotte Tilbury, I don't really know what this is called, but it's like a corrector in the shade number 2 medium. And I like to let the color correcting sit for a little bit so it maintains its opacity. But because these aren't like bright red zits anymore, I'm using the green to dull down the redness, and then I'm gonna slightly blend out so there's no harsh edges. And then to brighten up the dark spots, I'm going in with the same Charlotte Tilbury brightener and go over top. Where did they go? I love color correcting. I do want to let this dry for a sec, so I'm going to use my fan, which is broken, and I also got from the Pride Parade in Chicago. Mortgage with Shimmy. Thank you for this fan that I've been using nonstop, but I want to dry down those spots a little bit so I can move on with the other steps in my makeup. And then I'm going to do a light layer of the Milk Hydro Grip Setting Spray. I will say the Hydro Grip Primer dupe by e.l.f. is exceptional. I didn't think that their Hydro Grip dupe setting spray was on the same par as this one, so I still make the splurge for this one, and I'm almost out of it. Just a light layer. But adding setting spray throughout doing your makeup is going to lock in each layer at each step so that it ends up lasting super long, like throughout a wedding, throughout whatever you need it to. I did a similar thing when I went to Lollapalooza, and it was like super hot and super humid, and adding the setting spray in multiple steps just helped lock in my makeup, and it looked so slay even at the end of the day. And to make sure specifically this color correction doesn't go anywhere, I'm taking like the lightest layer of powder and just tapping it on top. And my favorite powder is the Pro Filter Instant Retouch Setting Powder in Butter. Next is foundation. I use the Makeup by Mario Surreal Skin Foundation. You guys know I'm partial to like a natural skin-like finish, and this gives that 100%. And I don't use a lot because I like adding lots of layers of cream products, and I just don't find it necessary to have like a super thick layer of foundation underneath all of them. But if you like full coverage, girl, do whatever you want. And I'm being careful when applying over where we color corrected, just because I don't want to move around any of those products underneath. And side note too, I make a conscious effort not to put my foundation up underneath my eyes where I put concealer, because I really hate a cakey under eye look and feeling. And so if I already know that I'm adding more concealers underneath, then I'm not gonna add that extra layer of foundation. It's just another product that's gonna crease with your under eye wrinkles. Now that I basically have a blank canvas, I'm going to start adding some of the cream bronzer and cream blush. My favorite cream bronzer for a while has been the Chanel Healthy Glow Bronzing Cream. I just take it on a little fluffy brush and apply it to my cheekbones and up towards the temple. I also put it under my chin just to define the jawline a little bit more. I've also found too, if you put your bronzer in between like your ear and like the corner of your jawbone, it kind of helps to further create that sharp line on your jawline. Makes me feel a little bit more snatched. And then I like to kind of put it all over my nose, and then I'll correct any of the darkness with concealer afterwards. I've been super into these cream blushes from Seraphine Botanicals, but like, you guys, I hate when packaging breaks. That's like the most annoying thing in the world to me, because the product is so good, but tell me why. Tell me why the lid just literally fell off. I hate that. For like an everyday look, I usually go between these top two colors, but I'm feeling this middle one right now. And I think that's the one I did for the wedding anyways. So just take it on my little blush brush. I like start it back here, kind of underneath my eye, and blend up towards the temple and forward towards the cheekbone, but really saturating it right in this spot. A lot of people think that they should always target blush on like the apples of their cheeks, and you can totally do that. That is totally fine. It just makes your cheeks look plumper. It's a more youthful look, but because I prefer more of like a snatched kind of vibe, I like to focus the blush back here and then blend it and kind of blow it out. It might look a little bit intense right now, but blush is always the first thing to fade from your face too, so I'm not afraid to like go heavy-handed with it, and then you can always blend out later. Also, starting further back allows you to have a bit more control over the blush placement, whereas if you go straight in right here and you put on too much, then there's not a lot of places you can blend it out. Whereas if you start back here, you can blend it up, you can blend it forward, you can just blend it out a lot easier and a lot more. Next is concealer, and I like to mix these two concealers. I've been using this combination, which is the Bye Bye Under Eye Full Coverage Anti-Aging Waterproof Concealer, which is like a very thick pigmented concealer, and the NYX Bear With Me Concealer Serum, which is like very, very light. And I mix these two, and it just creates kind of like the perfect concoction of coverage, but not like super thick. This thins it out a little bit. And this is infused with some sort of mushroom. I don't know what that does for your under eyes, but I've been liking this duo. So I just put it on the back of my hand, and like that is really all that's necessary. I'm not using a ton. And then with my concealer brush, I just mix it up and then apply. Similar to what I said before, I'm not going straight up like right next to my eyeball with the concealer. I'm allowing a little bit of space to give room to blend out, but also to help prevent too much product from getting into the creases of my under eye so that there's not like creasing and stuff later throughout the day. I apply it to the center of my forehead, my chin, my nose, and then also I use it to cut my contour. And I usually go from like where my tragus is down to like the corner of my mouth. And I also like to basically contour the sides of my mouth as well, which gives like a nice lifted look. I like to let my concealer sit as well, but I'm going to add another layer of the Hydro Grip setting spray. While I let that sit, I do my brows, and my favorite combination right now has been the Charlotte Tilbury Brow Cheat and the Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter Gel. They actually look pretty even today. And then with whatever concealer is still on the back of my hand and on my brush, I'll just clean up. I like to clean the top of my brow. I feel like that makes a lot more of a difference than the bottom of my brow for whatever reason. Time to blend out the concealer. And as I'm blending out my concealer, I am blending it upwards towards my temple, which is going to help in giving that lifted eye look. Now, when it comes to setting your under eye concealer, it's so important that you make sure that there are no creases, no product buildup in any of the folds under your eye while you're setting it, because if you add powder and it's a little bit caked up, then you're just setting a crease into place essentially. And then I like to go in with a little brush and use the lightest amount of powder just to really set specifically where my eye creases the most. And then after I do that light dusting, I take a powder puff with my powder on it, again the Fenty one, and then on the back of my hand I'm going to evenly distribute the powder on the puff, get rid of any excess, and then press it underneath my eye. It's not a full bake, I'm not putting a ton of powder on my face, but I am just pressing it in and then letting it sit for a little bit. And then I'm doing the same thing to set everywhere else that I concealed on my face. So just pressing the powder into my nose, my chin, my forehead, and underneath my contour. Now I like to move on to eyes, and I'm going to use my Morphe eyeshadow primer. This just helps, especially if you have like oily eyelids or anything like that. It helps the eyeshadow not crease and last a super long time. Starting off with a light brown shade on a fluffy blending brush, I'm basically just going to apply it in my crease and all over my lid, pulling out the shadow towards the end of my brow and like my temple area. And straight away, I use the same brush to blend it onto my lower lash line as well. I have this fluffy angled brush. It's kind of thin, but it's angled and it's fluffy. And I'm going to use that with a slightly darker brown shade and focus that on the outer corner. And this is going to add depth and dimension to the look, helping further establish that kind of like cat eye. And you can kind of bring it into your crease if you'd like as well. Blending out any harsh edges with the lighter shade on the fluffy blending brush. Now I love a wing, like an eyeshadow wing in particular, because it's softer than a winged liner, but it still gives that same illusion of like the uplifted eye. So I'm going to take a really dark brown on a little angled brush like this and create a wing. I start from the outer corner, angle it up towards the end of my brow, like that. And then I kind of go a third into my eye and then drag it up towards the point. And then if it's not super sharp as well, I just kind of take my fingernail and then like pull it up, and it kind of creates a more defined wing. And then after I've established that like outer third of the wing, I do like to bring it in a little bit more towards about halfway onto the lid. And I do like to connect it a little bit towards the bottom lash line as well. Next is highlighting. I'm going to take a light white creamy kind of shade on a little pencil brush and focus it on the inner corner. And I also apply on the brow bone. I like to focus right under the arch to make that the brightest point, and then blend out towards the tail and a little bit forward. Then again, blending out with the original blending brush. Okay, the final step and my favorite step. I did this in my vampire tutorial, but I do it all the time. It's literally my favorite eyeshadow trick right now, but on the same little pencil brush that I was highlighting with, I'm gonna take a light shimmery shade, whichever one your favorite is, and I'm gonna saturate it on my brush, tap off any excess, and then I'm going to pat in the inner corner, and then I'm gonna take my brush and flip it upside down. And from the center of your inner corner, I'm going to drag along my nose bridge into the crease. And then, of course, I like to blend it out so there's no harsh lines, but you can still kind of see it there. But it almost creates kind of like a haloed effect around your eye, where it really draws attention to the center of your face and to your eyes specifically. Now is when I'm going to wipe away any of the unnecessary powder under my eyes and any fallout from the eyeshadow. That's another perk of adding powder and just letting it sit, is that if any fallout happens while you're doing your eyeshadow, you can just swipe it away. And then after I blend away the powder, I'm going to go in with a little bit of that darker brown on the lower lash line, and then blend out with the OG brush again. And that's pretty much all the eyeshadow. I do like to add some eyeliner to my waterline, which just makes your eyelashes look thicker and more full, and also add a little tiny bit to the lower waterline in the corner, which again just helps with that cat eye effect. I kind of like skip around in my routine as I go through it. But next I'm going to do bronzer slash contour with the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer. And pretty much everywhere I put the cream bronzer earlier. And then blush, I've got this like big book of blushes from Tarte, and I'm gonna use Rad and Mindful, just mix those two. Again, same placement as before. And I'm also not afraid to get it kind of up into concealer territory. And then honestly, my favorite blush product is the Wet n Wild highlighting powder in Precious Petals. This is not the first time you heard me talk about it. This won't be the last. I'm obsessed with this stuff. I truly think it's like the game changer of my makeup routine and what makes my skin look so healthy and glowy. It's not like an obvious glitter or shimmer, but it just adds a radiance. And like, honestly, I don't even see a super huge difference just sitting here in the mirror. But like when you get out into natural sunlight and after you spray your face, I feel like that's really when the magic happens with this product. But this truly, I'm like, if you're looking for like a wedding glow kind of vibe, this is it. This is it. And it's so cheap. It's literally so inexpensive. I love this stuff. Now, I know you can see these lines, and we don't want those lines. Those lines are not cute. We want it blended. And so I found that the best way to blend it without blending down with bronzer, which kind of drags your cheekbones down, is to take the powder brush and then use that to blend out the line. And that's what's gonna give you that kind of like seamless natural look as opposed to this. And I realized that I like did such a good job covering up these that I stopped being gentle. So now you can see the acne scars again. But you know, that's life. And honestly, is it so bad if you see someone's acne scars? Like, who cares? Who cares? But after I blended out the line, sometimes I just like to take a little bit of bronzer in case I like blended too far up, bring some of that color back. Now for mascara, I'm gonna curl the lashes. I've been using the Bad Gal Bang mascara. This is a little sample size and I'm like dangerously low. Pretty much out, but we're gonna use it anyways. I kind of love when mascara is running out because there's not so much product on the brush anymore. So it's a bit more of a controlled application. Like, now if you were doing this for like a real event, like a wedding or whatever, you could definitely put on lashes at this point. But I'm not going to, mostly because I'm only going to Trader Joe's to exchange some flirty banter with the cashiers and then like maybe the bank. So I feel like that's a bit much for me to be putting on lashes for, but it also really does make the look feel that much more elevated. So if you want to add some lashes, go ahead, girlfriend. Honestly, thank God for eyelashes because the way they just complete a look, it should be studied. Okay, but now do you like really see how this like inner corner highlight just like really pops? I think the contrast with the mascara, it just really draws a lot of focus to your eye and I'm obsessed with it. I literally love it. Minor nose contouring. I also have recently been loving contouring like up here in the nose bridge area. Maybe because it really complements the highlight in the inner corners, but don't be afraid to get up in there. Now I think I'm just gonna move on to finishing touches with lips. This is one of my favorite lip liners. It's the Sephora Gel Lip Liner. Oh wait! Oh no, this is like one of my favorite ones and I'm just now realizing that it's out. This is in Dress to the 90s. I will be repurchasing it. This is one of my favorites. I'm gonna take a similar color. This is Rosewood. It's a bit darker, but I'm gonna use it to line my lips. And then one of my new favorite lip combos is just literally taking that same cream blush. Clean up the sides. I'm just so obsessed with that blush shade on my lips. It looks so good. I love to feel pretty. Now I think I'm honestly like done with the makeup, but I still go in with setting powders or setting sprays. So I'm going again with the Milk Hydro Grip and I really douse my face. Take my fan, let it dry down a little bit, not fully dry. And then I take a stipple brush, which is this kind of brush, and then super lightly, and I'm talking like this. We're not going like this. Like literally just these thin bristles on the top are moving. I'm blending out specifically the cheek. I don't try to go too far under the under eye because I don't want to disturb that concealer, but everywhere else in my face, my cheeks, my forehead, my chin. And I've been doing this trick since high school and I really think it just melts everything together in that final step and blends out any harsh lines you may have missed, and it just looks like skin. Like, okay. I truly feel like my makeup doesn't look as good when I don't do this final step. I do it pretty much every single time. And then if you're going out all day, wedding, whatever you're wearing this makeup for, and you want to make it last a long time, what can I say? The One Size setting spray on till dawn slays. Okay, so this is my pretty girl special occasion makeup look all completed. Honestly, I needed this. This is feeding my soul right now. And I honestly just love a look like this because I just think that this kind of look really looks good on almost anyone. I do this on my friends. I have done this for bridesmaids. I've done this on so many different kinds of people. If you're someone who likes a super like caked up special occasion kind of makeup, then obviously this might not be for you. But I think, especially in this phase of life, I'm just like more about embracing a more natural vibe. So this is the result of that. I like that I can still see like my skin underneath it all. You can still see this vein that runs underneath my eye. You can still see my little acne scars. It's just very human. And I think in a world where we have so many filters and people editing their faces and stuff like that, my goal is not to like hide imperfections because of shame. It's just about making me feel the absolute most confident, which I will be walking into Trader Joe's after this. Anyways, besties, I'm so grateful that you decided to hang out with me today. If you want to get a weekly dose of your Beauty Bestie Sab, then make sure to subscribe because I put out a new video every Thursday and I want you to hang out with me. I'm also at Beauty Bestie Sab on Instagram and TikTok if you want to hang out with me there. And don't forget to hit the bell notification button because then you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. And that's where I know all the true besties are anyways. You're amazing, you're gorgeous, and I literally love you so much. Bye!